Who dat to the Who Dat Nation? Welcome to the Who Dat Say podcast, your podcast for your New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. I am your fellow Who Dat and host Kevin Reed, and I mean, you gotta laugh to keep from crying, huh? This is a dumpster fire of an organization. This is unbelievable what's taking place on Airline Drive with this team. Watching this game today has really put a lot of things in perspective. A lot of things. When you look across the field at certain aspects of the Chicago Bears, and when you look at the Saints and what has transpired over the last 7 weeks with this team, it really puts a spotlight on what the true issue with the New Orleans Saints are. In case you don't know, you're just waking up, probably took an afternoon nap, didn't want to watch the game because you didn't want your blood pressure to shoot up like mine. Well, the New Orleans Saints have lost yet again to the Chicago Bears, 26-14. Yes, I know that score just screams like replay. You know, the Saints can't score over 20 points a game. The Saints always allow 26 points a game or something like that. Let's real quick. Let's go over what has happened this season. Week 1, you lose to the Arizona Cardinals 20-13. Week 2, the 49ers 26-21. You actually scored over 21 points, which is a shock. Then we go to week 3, which was I still don't know what happened in that game. You had 50 turnovers. You had about as many turnovers in that game as you did this game, but you lost 44-14. You played the Buffalo Bills 31-19. You beat the lowly old Giants, which is probably the biggest fluke of all of football in 2025, 26-14. You lose to the New England Patriots 25-19, and you lose today 26-14. Do you see a pattern here? Do you see a pattern with this team? This team cannot get out of their own way. This team is not well coached, undisciplined, not fundamentally sound. Everything, just the little nuances. This team does not possess this. Last season, with Dennis Allen as the coach, well, not so much last season, but let's go over the last 2 years. He was the coach here. Yeah, the Saints sucked. There's no getting around that. We all know that. But this is the same team Dennis Allen had for the most part last season, or for the previous seasons, with the exception of a few young players here or there. Same team. And they scored points. Yeah, we lost, but we scored points. We were in games. Not here. Not now. Under Kellen Moore, this most sought-after offensive coordinator of the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. You know, he's the reason that the Philadelphia Eagles got to the Super Bowl, even though they got there 2 years prior before he even thought about going to Philadelphia. But he got him over the hump. And then early on in this season, you looked at Philly and you say, oh, they really did need Kellen Moore because they can't move the ball at all. Well, if you watched them today, they showed that they didn't need Kellen Moore to do what they needed to do. Kellen Moore is not a good coach. It's plain and simple. There's no point sugarcoating it. There's no point sitting there trying to make excuses. Oh, he's a first-year head coach. Give him some time. Well, look across the field today. Ben Johnson is a first-year head coach. Yeah, the first 2 weeks of the season, it looked pretty rough. They were trying to figure it out. But they have won 4 in a row since then. They have not lost and looked real good in their wins. What's the Saints' problem? They have gotten better and better every week in Chicago. Saints look the exact same they did in the preseason. To be honest with you, they look worse in some areas. There is no progression here. This team is not getting the message. Whatever that message is that Kellen Moore is preaching, it is falling on deaf ears. This team is the worst team in football. When you watched in that first half, take away that last drive where they went 91 yards when Chicago was in prevent defense. We're going to take that away. But up to that point, Saints only had a net total of 4 yards of offense in that half of football. Take away the 91 yards on that one drive. That is embarrassing. Saints had like 4 first downs in the first half. 3 of them were because of defensive penalties. We can't do nothing on offense. They got to find ways to get the ball to Shadeed. They have to find ways to get Kamara incorporated in this offense. How you got to find ways for your playmakers? Playmakers are playmakers because they find a way to get the ball or get open or make a play on the ball. You know, that's what a playmaker is. Unfortunately for the New Orleans Saints, we don't have one. We do not possess a playmaker. Alvin Kamara, love him to death, man. Love him to death. Alvin Kamara, it is not there no more. He just doesn't have it. It showed his ugly head today. Alvin Kamara is not that same dude. And it's fine. It's called getting older. It's called father time. You know, we all hit that wall. And when you hit it, it's it is what it is. You can't go around it. You can't climb over it. You can't dig from underneath it. It's there. And he hit it. It's his runs are not explosive. He doesn't have that same burst. He doesn't my God, blitz pickup. He used to be pretty decent with blitz pickup. Not today. He was a liability back there. It was horrible. And oh yeah, Spencer Rattler. And Spencer Rattler had the worst game as a New Orleans Saint today. Out of all the games to have your worst game, it was today. And I'm not even talking the interceptions. Those were bad. But he made some decisions today. All I can think about was he was in his own head. He was trying to outdo Caleb Williams so much, so badly, that he beat himself. He beat himself. He looked horrible. Up to that last drive in the first half, I was calling for him to get benched. And if you've been listening to this show, I'm the biggest Spencer Rattler guy there is. I've been champion for Spencer Rattler this entire process. Keep him in. Give him a shot. He can be the guy. Just give him the time. And I still believe that. But when we got towards the end of this first half, I was like, yeah, Tyler Shuck probably going to be in this game. Do I agree with it? No. Do I champion it? No. But I can see it coming, and I still see it coming because it got worse as the game went on. Yeah, he had those 2 good drives, 2 good throws, 2 excellent touchdown passes to get us within a possession. It was 20-0 at one point in this game. 20-0. And Saints got closer, got within a possession. And that is as close as they got. And it was over from there. Blake Grupe gotta go. He got to go. Yeah, we lost by 12 points? Yeah, what's a field goal? What's 3 points? It's a lot. Because those 3 points cuts it down to 1 single possession. The play calling here. The play calling by Kellen Moore is the most questionable play calling I've ever seen from this team. I don't know what he's doing. It's almost to the point where he's sabotaging. That's what it feels like. It feels like he's sabotaging this team. Probably sabotaging Spencer Rattler so he can find an excuse to get Tyler Shuck in. Yeah, that's the conspiracy theorist in me, because it doesn't make any sense. The play calling is so vanilla, so stupid, and I can read it. Sitting in my recliner, I know what they about to run. It was one play they put Taysom Hill in the game, and they spread Spencer Rattler out wide. They did it twice, but the first time they tried it, it was a negative 10-yard play or something like that. I mean, who fell for that? Nobody. It's nothing new. You're doing the same thing Sean Payton did with him. You did the same thing that Clint Kubiak was doing with him. Pete Carmichael was doing with him. There's nothing different. We've read that book. We've seen this movie. The popcorn is stale. We know what you're going to do there. Now, the second time it worked. I don't know how it worked the second time, but it did. And you only got a first down out of it. But it's stupid play calling that's just, I cannot rock with this dude. I cannot rock with Kellen Moore. I cannot rock with his style of coaching. Obviously, he does not teach fundamental football. These guys don't know how to tackle on defense. They're out of position on defense. Now, that's Brandon Staley, but this is under your watch, Kellen Moore. These guys don't know how to do their job. They're out of position all the time. What defense are we running? Are we a 3-4 defense, or what are we? What is this? I'm looking at defensive tackles out in coverage. What is this? That is so stupid. It is dumb. Man, look, I came close 2 times. Well, 3 times really, and on the third attempt, I did shut it off. I didn't see the last 3 minutes of the game because they made no sense to watch. At that point, it was it was over. It was over in the first quarter, but I tried. What kept me watching was the final drive in the first half when the Saints went 91 yards and scored. I'm like, okay. Then they scored again on the second drive, the opening drive of the second half, I should say. All right, okay, they pulled within a possession here. Okay, they got some fight in them. Apparently, that was all the fight they had, just those 2 drives. After that, it was nothing. Saints couldn't run the ball to save their lives. They couldn't stop the run on defense to save their lives because Caleb Williams did nothing. He did absolutely nothing today. I can't tell you a wide receiver on that team, on the Chicago Bears team, that did anything, caught anything today, because they didn't throw the ball. They didn't have to. They didn't need to throw the ball. Their 2 tight ends, both of their tight ends got hurt, and they still went up and down the field. It was unbelievable to watch how this team flat out gave up and just said, forget it. And expect a fan base such as the Who Dat Nation not to follow suit. I'm up to the point where I said, forget it. Just forget it. Put in Tyler Shuck at this point. You're not doing nothing the rest of this season. That's over. It is over. Any little glimmer of light of turning this season around and making chicken salad out of chicken, you know what, that is over. You might as well put your young guys out there, see what you got. Speaking of young guys, it was good to see Devin Neal out there. The reason Devin Neal was out there today is because Kendre Miller got hurt again. He needs to stay away from Dennis Allen. It seems like every time he's around Dennis Allen, he gets hurt. Whether he's a coach or the opposing defensive coordinator, he cannot stay healthy around Dennis Allen. But he got hurt again today after looking great. He was looking great up to the point where I was like, man, we can move on from Kamara. Kendre is holding it down. What'd he do? Get hurt. I'm done. I'm done. The New Orleans Saints, they have failed this fan base. They owe this entire fan base, the Who Dat Nation, an apology. They need to hold a press conference and apologize to the Who Dat Nation for what they have put us through for the last 3 years, and from the looks of it, for the next 3 to 5 years to come, because we're not going anywhere no time soon. There is no way that this team should be in the condition that they're in. Are the Saints the most talented team? Is there any sneaky talented players on this team that will shock you? No, man. The Saints got some good players, solid players. Nobody that's going to stand out and, make a Pro Bowl or nothing like that. None that I can see. But they have solid players. Definitely better than a 1-6 team. On paper, at least. On paper. But this team is an embarrassment within itself. I mean, I'll put it like this. Saints have more talent on their team than the Carolina Panthers do. Carolina Panthers are 4-3 right now. Make it make sense. Make that make sense. Can you name anybody on the Carolina Panthers team right now? Go ahead. I'll wait. Who on that Carolina Panther team is a Pro Bowler? Go ahead. Take your time. I'll even allow you to Google it. Go ahead and Google it and find me somebody on that team that's a Pro Bowler. They don't have any. But they go out there and give it their all. Granted, they beat the Jets today. The Jets, for as bad as the Saints are just slightly, and I mean slightly, worse than we are. They have yet to win a game. But don't worry. I think we play them later on this season. I think in a few weeks here. But they'll get that win. They'll beat us. Don't worry, Jets fans. You'll get that victory in a few weeks. I think in December we play them. I think around Christmas, if I'm not mistaken. But it don't matter. It don't matter. Saints ain't winning a game. Saints ain't winning a game. This is what the Saints have in store for them. I'm just going to say the next 5 weeks. No, we'll go through the rest of this season. Forget that. We'll go through the rest of this season. This is what's left for the New Orleans Saints this season. Next week, Tampa, loss. After that, the LA Rams, loss. Carolina Panthers, loss. Falcons, most likely a loss. Dolphins, that one's a toss-up. Put a question mark by Miami, even though it's probably a loss. After that, Tampa again, that's a loss. Carolina again, most likely a loss. Then you have the Jets. I would say flip a coin. I'm not 100% confident with that. Then you have the Tennessee Titans, who once again, we're running a race. These are the 3 worst teams in the league right now: Saints, Jets, and Titans. So who's fighting? Who want that number 1 pick next season? That's where we at with those 3. And then we finish out the season against Atlanta. How many of them games do you see the Saints winning? Honestly, maybe 2. Maybe. They might get the Jets. They might split with Carolina. Tennessee, question mark. Question mark. But that's it. I don't see the Saints winning another game. Saints will finish this season 4 and whatever. What is it, 4-13? Yeah, I don't see the Saints winning another game. It's this is embarrassing. And then they lose it in embarrassing fashion. As I said, this was a struggle. This was a struggle for the New Orleans Saints in this game. I guess that's what made it worse. But kudos to the Chicago Bears. The Bears are 4-2. This is their 4th consecutive win. Great on them. They ended a 8-game losing streak to the New Orleans Saints. Believe it or not, the Saints have beaten Chicago 8 straight times, going back to 2008. I didn't realize that till they said that at the game, and I was shocked because I thought we lost one in between there, but no, we've had our way with Chicago. Not today. Not today. Chicago scored on two running touchdowns and 4 field goals by Jake Moody. The Saints just struggled on offense, man. And like I said before, uh, their first 22 plays or 24 plays, they netted 13 yards on the first 24 plays. Spencer Rattler, he turned it over 3 times, or 4 times actually. He threw 3 picks and fumbled once. So he had 4 turnovers today. He did have that 91-yard 5-play drive, touchdown drive to cap off the half. Then he had that 80-yard drive at the opening of the second half. Both of those plays ended with Chris Olave touchdowns. Chris Olave probably had his best game as a Saint today. Juwan Johnson, he did his usual dropping balls. He had a couple of big catches, but he had a big drop as well. Quincy Riley had a big interception early in the game, I think in the first quarter there, but the Saints did absolutely nothing with it. Kendre Miller, as I mentioned before, he left in the first quarter with a knee injury and was ruled out the entire game with that knee injury. So you know how this is. This is the first rodeo with Kendre Miller, so you already know how that probably is going to turn out. Eric McCoy, our center, he left the game in the fourth quarter with a bicep injury. Blake Grupe missed a 53-yard field goal attempt early on. Now, Chase Young, he did get his first sack of the season. Actually, it's a half a sack. It's going to go down in the record books, but nonetheless, he got it today. He actually looked good on a couple of plays out there today. He batted down a couple of passes as well as getting that sack. So, but that was it. That's all there is to highlight about this game. There was nothing positive to come out of this game today. Absolutely nothing. Well, I guess Alvin Kamara, he surpassed 12,000 yards from scrimmage today. Hey, let's give him a round of applause. But that's it. That's all we got. Let's go over the stats of today's game, I guess. Starting with the passing yards, Spencer Rattler, he was 20 for 32, 233 yards, 2 touchdowns, and not 1, not 2, but 3 interceptions today. Caleb Williams, he was 15 for 26, 172 yards passing, and 1 interception. No touchdowns today. Didn't need him to score a touchdown. Our leading rusher today was Alvin Kamara with 11 carries. Now, listen to me, people. Well, let's pause that for a second before I go over his numbers. The Chicago Bears leader, Swift, he had 19 carries for 124 yards and 1 touchdown. Now, let's move back to Alvin Kamara, our leading rusher today. 11 carries for 28 yards. Moving on. Leading receiver for the New Orleans Saints today was Chris Olave. As I said, probably his best game as a Saint, and still didn't go over 100 yards. He had 5 catches for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns for the I'm about to say Minnesota Vikings. But for the Chicago Bears, you have DJ Moore, 3 catches for 43 yards today. Leading sack getter, that'll be Chase Young with a half a sack today. He shares that with Brian Brzee. For the Chicago Bears is Montez Sweat with 1 sack today. Leading tackler today was Demario Davis with 10 tackles today. For the Chicago Bears was Tremaine Edmonds with 9 tackles today. Team stats, beginning with total yardage, Chicago Bears had 386 total yards to the Saints 253. Saints turned the ball over 4 times, Chicago once. Chicago had 23 first downs to the Saints 16. Penalties, the only category that the Saints actually won in, I guess you could say. Saints had 5 penalties for 30 yards. Chicago had 10 penalties for 92 yards, and the Saints couldn't capitalize on none of that. Third down efficiency, Saints were 3 for 10. Chicago was 3 for 12. Fourth down, Saints went for it on fourth down twice, 0 times converted, whereas Chicago went for it once and got it once. In the red zone, for the first time in God knows how long, Saints were 100% in the red zone. Unfortunately, it was only one trip to the red zone. Saints were 1-1 in the red zone today. Chicago were 2-6 in the red zone. The defense, as much as I harp on the defense kept us in this game longer than we should have been in this game. I guess that's part of the frustration here, because they were forcing them to field goals. They were getting them off the field when we needed a stop, but the offense just couldn't get anything going. Time of possession, Chicago won that hands down, 36 minutes and 19 seconds, whereas the Saints had the ball for 23 minutes and 41 seconds. The Saints will travel back home next Sunday to take on their division rivals, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, in the Dome. I don't see anything positive. If you can't tell, anything positive coming from this team going forward, especially against probably one of, and some would argue, the best team in the NFL this season, and that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But we'll see. Let's go over the grades. The way we do the grades, if this is your first time listening to the show, welcome. If it is, I'm glad you checked me out today. Unfortunately, it was for a bad day, which we've had 6 of them so far this season. You can make an argument for 7, to be honest with you. But anyways, the way we do the grades is we grade every unit of the New Orleans Saints, the offense, defense, special teams, and coaching. We round them all up and come up with an overall grade for today's performance against the Chicago Bears in Week 7. Beginning with offense, offense gets a D. This offense looked awful. This was the worst this offense has looked since the Mora days, man. This goes back to the Bobby Hebert just dumpster fire of an offense. I don't know what the Saints are. Are they a run team? Are they a pass team? What are they? I don't know what they are. And today they looked horrible. They looked horrible everywhere. Couldn't block on the offensive line. Couldn't run the ball. Couldn't throw the ball. Couldn't catch the ball. Couldn't do anything right. Nothing went right on offense. Aside from them 2 drives. That's the only thing that saved it from an F, was those 2 drives. And it didn't really count as much because they were in prevent defense. Typical Dennis Allen defense. And so it is what it is. But they get a D on offense. Our defense, on the other hand, gets a C- today. Yeah, they couldn't stop a nosebleed when it comes to the run, but they did do a good job of taking the passing away from Caleb Williams, except when it came to a third down throw. I don't understand the coverage packages that this team be in sometimes, but they did stop them on third downs when the Saints, because this could have been worse. I don't think y'all understand. This could have been a 50 burger of a game, 56-14, easily. I don't know if it was the Saints defense making the stops or the Chicago Bears showing mercy, because this could have been worse. But I'm gonna give the credit to the Saints defense, just so I wouldn't be too mad at this team. I'm gonna give them a C minus. Oh, and special teams, a C minus. Once again, I don't understand why Mason Tifton is returning kicks. I don't understand why Blake Grupe is still the Saints field goal kicker. I don't get this. I don't get it. This dude is a liability. He's going to cost this team big time. Big time. One time. One of these weeks in a game where the Saints are down by 1 or 2 and we drive and get in position for a game-winning kick, Blake Grupe is going to poo the bed. I guarantee it. It's right there for him. I've watched too much football. I've watched too many kickers. I can see in him. He is not it. He is the most inconsistent kicker the Saints have ever had, in my humble opinion. Yeah, he'll go 1 week, he'll make 4 50-plus yard field goals like it ain't nothing, and then come right back the next week and chip shot extra point he'll miss wide, or something stupid. But I knew he was going to miss early on because I was listening to the pregame and they were talking about the kickers just randomly, and they were talking about how Blake Grupe in warm-ups was missing all the kicks. He was even missing the extra point attempts, and I knew he was going to miss one today, and sure enough, he did. Yeah, they get a C minus. Coaching gets a D. This coaching staff needs to really reevaluate what this team is all about. What is their scheme? What is their mission statement? What system is this? Are you just running a system, or are you trying to develop a system to help your players out that best utilize Shadeed? Oh, okay. Shadeed is one of the fastest players on this team. Let me find plays to get him out in the open. Let me find plays to get our tight ends open underneath and stuff like that. Let me get some screen passes. Even though I know Kellen Moore is not a screen pass coach, his history dictates that. But you have one of the best screen pass catching running backs in the league, and you don't utilize that skill set. And I don't know on defense. I stated earlier, I don't get what it's like. They're out there. It's like they just stand out there and just figure it out. Just figure it out. Whatever comes in front of you, attack the ball. You know, there's no going to get the ball. There's no pressure up front. There's nothing that this team does that will worry an offensive coordinator. Nobody fears the Saints on either side of the ball, offensively or defensively. It makes me chuckle every time I watch the Saints offense on the field, and they run those motions where you got 2 or 3 people just moving around the line, getting in different positions, and you bring the running back over from your right side to your left side, and you're trying to get to somebody to move on the defense, and the defense every single week doesn't flinch. They don't move. You know why they don't? They don't respect nothing the Saints do. They don't respect anything the Saints are about to throw at them. They don't fear the Saints at all. If I would be embarrassed. That's like somebody, you getting in a fight, right? You about to fight somebody, and you put up your set, and you know, and the guy across from you or the girl across from you, they're looking at you and just laugh. And you're about to, because you about to launch off one of your biggest right hooks of all time, and they're just laughing at you because they don't fear your power. They don't fear nothing you're about to throw. That's more demoralizing than them hitting you. And that's what opposing teams are doing to the New Orleans Saints. So after we round up all of these scores, the overall performance for the New Orleans Saints today is a D+. This was one of the worst performances. This was worse than Seattle game, in my humble opinion. At least we can go off the excuse it was all turnovers. It was all special team breakdowns and stuff like that. You know, today, I can't tell you what the Chicago Bears did. Other than their defense, yeah, the defense came out there with an agenda. You know, Dennis Allen had it on his mind. He was going to beat the Saints, and he did. Kudos. I tip my hat to Dennis Allen. I'll say it once. I said it twice. I've said it a million times, and today's going to make 1,000,001. I hated Dennis Allen as a head coach, but as a defensive coordinator, he's one of the best in the league, and he showed that today. And he came out there. He did things he didn't do here. He was blitzing. How many times were we sitting there while Dennis Allen was here in New Orleans? Man, won't he blitz? Won't he run some stunts or something like that? He didn't do none of that. He did it today. He did it today. He had it on his mind, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him. But there's nothing aside from that Chicago did. What did Caleb Williams do to beat you today? Can you name anything Caleb Williams did? He made that one play where he was being sacked and he threw it to the running back. That was a cool play. Well, other than that, what else did he do? And nothing. He didn't have to do anything. The numbers show that. So yeah, this is all Saints. This is all Kellen Moore. This is all Spencer Rattler. This is all the entire New Orleans Saints team. I don't know, man. I'm too desensitized to this losing to be upset. To be honest with you, I'm more like, well, this is what we are. But the frustrating part about all of this, I don't know. I don't even remember. I've been just going on at 100 miles per hour. I don't even think I finished my point earlier about Mickey Loomis needs to apologize to this fan base, because you should have blown up this team years ago. Now you're in a position you have to blow up the team. You have to legitimately blow up the team, not this little cutesy rebuild that you're doing. You know, bringing in young players here, trying to mix them in with the savvy veterans that we have here, keeping them under contract and holding up roster spots and stuff like that. No, blow this mess up. Everybody's on the chopping block. I think the trade deadline next week, this week, next week, whenever, I don't care when it is, start it now. Nobody's expendable. Not one player on this team. Sorry. And there are some fan favorites. There are some players on this team who I love dearly, who I'm probably going to shed a tear when they walk away. But the reality is this. You are not helping this team. Cam Jordan is not helping this team. Demario Davis is not helping this team. Alvin Kamara is not helping the team right now. It's the truth. Chris Olave, I read somewhere where the Saints are trying to work out a long-term, I can't even talk about it. It's so crazy. A long-term deal with Chris Olave. Why? Because he went out there and caught 2 touchdowns today? Okay. Can he do that next week? Can he do it the week after that? That's the problem. Yeah, he'll give you that, but can he do it consistently? So far, no. And so I wouldn't work out no deal with it. No, he needs to be on the trading block. Sadly, even Shadeed at this point, everybody, they need to just start from scratch. Start over. If you're going to go with Shuck, go with Shuck. If you're going to do just do it. Just do it. Stop playing around with it. Stop teasing everybody with it. Oh, we want to give this guy a fair chance. We did. Like I said, I'm the biggest Spencer Rattler fan you're going to find. Love him to death. I still, even though he played like pure butt water today, I still feel he's one of the best options we have at quarterback right now. But unfortunately, we are, 12 games into his NFL career as a starting quarterback, and we only got one win out of it, it's time to go. It's time to move on from it. Because this team, this is the first game. And the reason I'm so upset with Spencer Rattler, it's the fact that no matter all the losing that we were doing with him under center, I can at least hang my hat on. Well, he didn't lose us the game, and he didn't previously. Today was the first time I can honestly say he lost us this game, and it hurts. That's the part about this entire game that disturbs me. You lost us this game, and he was doing too much. He was doing too much to try to outshine Caleb Williams that you didn't have to outshine. As you can see, the numbers say it. Caleb Williams did nothing. You didn't have to do nothing. You didn't have to go out there and throw for 300 yards and all this here and 5 touchdowns to prove Oklahoma wrong, to prove Lincoln Riley wrong. Who cares? Move on. He's a starting quarterback in the NFL. You're a starting quarterback in the NFL. You both won. Let it go. But if you get him honest, give him some truth serum, you know that he went out there today to try to outshine Caleb Williams, and he made himself look like a fool. And that's the part that disturbs me. Now, next week, he could bounce back and have one of his solid games. But I don't care anymore. I just don't care. The joy has been sucked out of me, and not in a good way. So this is not the season that I envisioned for the New Orleans Saints. Granted, I weren't picturing a Super Bowl. I weren't picturing us winning 7-8 games, but I was imagining a team that can put up some points, especially when we hired one of the most innovative offensive minds in football. And to sit here week in and week out, and this team can barely score 2 touchdowns in a game. I don't know what to say to that. I honestly don't know what to say to that. But anyways, once again, the Saints fall to 1-6 on the season as they lose to the Chicago Bears 26-14. Next week, we will play our first division game of the season against the division leaders, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Spoiler alert, that'll be a loss. So I'll put money on that one, ladies and gentlemen. But I would like to know what's your thoughts, and I already know what half of your thoughts are. This is the game that Spencer Rattler gave everybody what they wanted to say, or be justified in what they've been saying for the past 6 weeks. And so, congratulations, Spence. You gave these folks what they wanted. And so, will it happen? I don't know. I don't think they're going to pull the trigger this week, but I can see it coming. Before this week happened, I thought that the Saints would stick with Spencer Rattler throughout the season, and then next season we see the coming of the Lord when Tyler Shuck takes his rightful place in a lot of people's eyes. But after today, I think his time is limited. I think he has at the very least till the bye, probably before that, but he is definitely on the clock as the starting quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. But I would like to know your thoughts about the New Orleans Saints and where they stand right now, and what your thoughts are about the game. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Who Dat Say podcast here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me as we recapped Week 7, Saints versus Bears. Saints lose again, 26-14. I'll catch up with y'all later on this week as we preview Saints versus the Bucks. God help us all. But despite all that, despite the struggles, despite the trials and tribulations, I'm still, from the bottom of my heart, in the deep, deep regions of my stomach, I'm still gonna be screaming to the top of my lungs. Who that?